Battle of Dobre was fought 3 days after the Battle of Zakrzew. After beating the front group of Russian 4th Army Corps under General Rosen, General Skrzynecki moved his force into the town of Dobre. He sent one of his regiments along with a group of cavalry to protect his flank, and he decided to fight the defensive battle near the town of Dobre, hoping that he will be able to slow down the Russian advance and Russians will suffer some losses while trying to break through his positions. He sent one of his battalions to the village of Makowiec, which was a key position because it guarded the only bridge that led through the stream here and led into the road, and grouped most of his forces nearby the town of Dobre to react on Russian advance. Well, Russians spent some time in fighting for Makowiec, and then they finally managed to drive Poles away of this village, capture the bridge, and they moved into the woods. After moving from the woods, they met the fire of Polish artillery, and when they reached the town of Dobre, they had to fight with the well-prepared Polish defensive positions. This made Russians suffer some heavy losses, and none of the sides was able to gain any advantage. Finally, Russians decided to stop their attacks, and Skrzynecki, finding that Russians are not eager to fight anymore, decided that he has to retreat towards Warsaw because he was afraid of being encircled. These two battles weren't very important when it comes to the entire first stage of Polish November uprising, but they had one important result. Skrzynecki made himself a great general. At last, that's what he said, and a lot of people believed in that. It was very fatal for the Poles, because later Skrzynecki became a Polish high commander, and he proved that he wasn't a very good commander at all. He was quite a good soldier, but he wasn't definitely a right person to command the entire army, and it was to be proved later. But let's return to this battle. Poles are starting on their initial positions. Russians, well, that's an interesting case. They are starting here, nearby Makowiec, and normally this is the group that fought during the Battle of Zakrzew. But, as you may probably remember from my previous video, Russians suffer really heavy losses during the Battle of Zakrzew. And they lost one of their infantry regiment and two of their cavalry regiments. So, because of that, they are starting this battle having only one infantry regiment and one artillery unit and their commander. So, normally they would start with stronger units, but we have to include the losses from the Battle of Zakrzew in this battle. There are some more Russian infantry units that are about to arrive, so I guess Russians will be stronger later, but at the beginning of the game they are pretty weak, and this might be a problem for them because they won't be able to break through the Polish positions quickly as they would like to. This gives Poles some time to prepare good defensive positions to welcome Russians. Scenario takes 18 turns. Of course, we don't know if we will play the entire 18 turns because, well, you know what's going on. And when it comes to the victory conditions, the side that controls Dobre wins the battle. So, if the Russians won't be able to capture the town, then Poles are victorious. So, Russians are first to go, and their options are pretty limited. So what I'm going to do is to move this regiment here. It is already weakened after the Battle of Zagreb, so I'm not sure if it will be strong enough to beat the Poles, but I have to try. And now, as for Russian artillery, 1, 2, 3, 4, 2, 3, 4. I will try to move my artillery here, so it will be able to fire at Poles. We will see how it works. I'm not going to move it there, because it will be in danger of being fired by Polish artillery, and infantry, and something that I would like to avoid. So that's all when it comes to Russian movement, and now we have to resolve attacks. So Russians are Jäger, you can tell by this white star here, so they can fire twice at Poles. So they are firing with the strength of 6, and they have to add +2. They have to subtract 2 because they are firing into the village. So Poles are hidden in these buildings. So first shot, this is a miss. Second shot, this is a miss. And now Poles are firing at them. Poles have 4, so they aren't very strong, but they should be strong enough to hold the line, I guess. So they are firing their own rifles. They missed, and now we have to resolve attack. We have 6 versus 4, so this is 1.5 to 1, and now this is +1 because of 1.5 to 1, and now we have -1 because we are attacking through the stream, and -2 because we are attacking into the village. So we have total of +1 and -3. This is -2 for Russians. Not a very good situation. So, combat roll 6. Wow, best roll they can get. 6 minus 4 is, -2 is 4. So 4, 5, both sides have to undergo morale checks. First Poles, they passed, and Russians, they passed. So we have to check for the losses. Russians had 6, so they have 5, 6, but they have -3 because of the terrain, so they will roll in the 1, 2 verse. 11. Wow! So even in such a complicated situation, they managed to inflict a loss to the Polish battalion. That's good for them. And now Poles, they had 3, so this is 3, 4, and now +3, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. So they are rolling in this 9, 10, and 7 in the 9, 10. This is 1 loss for Russians. And next we have to make a roll for the Russian commander, because when you have a commander on the unit that suffered some losses, you have to make a roll to see if the commander wasn't accidentally wounded or killed. And yes, he was wounded. And what it means? Well, now his command range is reduced to 1 hex. Well, that's bad. But at last he's still alive. Okay, time for Poles to go. So, here we have a secondary road. So, infantry spends 1 movement point. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Cavalry is going to cover this artillery. Now this battalion 1, 2, 3 goes here. Polish commander goes there. This and now the other artillery unit with infantry 1, 2, 3, and 4. So that's the Polish movement, and now I have to fight against these Russians. Well, this is going to be rough, but I have to, because I am adjacent to the hex. But there is one more thing I need to check. Yes, if there is enemy unit on the adjacent hexes which is in the buildings or in the woods, it doesn't have to be attacked. So I don't have to attack these Russians, and I'm not going to do so because, well, I want to slow them down or stop them. My goal is not to attack them because my battalion isn't that strong. So that's all for Poles. They don't have any more stuff to do. So we are moving into turn 2. We have to make a roll for initiative. Poles, Russians. So Russians have initiative this time. And now we are starting with command, and Polish commander is here. He has 2 hexes range, so these 3 units are out of his range. This is not a big deal for now, but well, remember that unit which is out of command has its movement allowance reduced by 1, and this might be a problem. Now this Polish unit is definitely out of command as well. Russians are all in the range of their commanders, so they are fine. Now, that's all when it comes to the command stuff. We don't have any units to reorganize, so now Russian movement phase, because artillery cannot fire. This artillery spends 3 movement points to go here and 1 movement point to change its facing. So that's all for this artillery, and I don't have any more stuff to do with Russians because I'm going to attack this position again. So Russians are firing their rifles. They have 5 points of strength now. So let me check for the rifle combat table. And they have -2 because they are firing into the village. So first shot, it is 7. And 7 in the column of 5, this is a miss. And the second shot, this is a miss. And now Poles are firing, they have 3. Wow, I think they hit. 3 with 11. Yes, this is -1 on Russians. Wow, amazing. And now I have to roll to see if the Russian commander wasn't hit. And I think he was. 10. 10. Commander. Yes, he's wounded again, and because he was already wounded, he's dead. You are gone, guy. Oh, that's pretty bad for a start for Russians. And now we have to resolve Russian attack. So Russian unit has strength of 4 and Polish unit has a strength of 3. So this is 1 to 1. And now there is -1 for the stream and -2 for the village. So it's -3. Okay. Oh, sorry, 1 die. It is 3. So 3 is morale check for both sides. So for Russians, they passed. Poles, they passed. And the attacker has to retreat 1 hex. Defender can pursue it, but Poles definitely doesn't want to pursue it. They feel safe in this village. So now we can check for the losses. Russians had 4 and -3, so it will be 1-2 verse. They failed. And Poles had 3 plus 3, so it will be 9-10 verse. And 6 in the 9-10. 1 loss for Russians. Okay, I think that's all when it comes to this regiment. It has only 3 points left, and well, they definitely need to wait for the reinforcements to arrive. Okay, so that's all when it comes to Russian stuff, and now Poles. So I think I will keep these battalions in the Dobre because along with artillery. My commander goes here, so he will have majority of his units in his range, and this battalion is going to remain here. It is very good defensive position, so I guess it is good to guard it. So that's all when it comes to the turn 2. So we are starting turn 3. Let's go with initiative roll. Poles, Russians, so Russians have initiative. So no one has to be reorganized, but first we have to check for a command. They are all in command. but they are not. And when it comes to Russians, well, that's worse. These two units are out of comment. Okay, so that's all. No one has to be reorganized, no. So Russians can perform their artillery fire on Poles. It won't be easy because they are in the village, so they get this modifier. So this is a miss, and now Russians can move. Okay, what are they going to do? I have reinforcements, 2 infantry regiments and 1 artillery unit. And now, this regiment goes here, and this regiment goes there. Artillery, 1, 2, 3, and 4 moves there. Commander remains here. Well, it's getting crowded. Okay, so that's all for Russians, and now we can perform our Russian attack. So, Russian regiments are attacking, they are firing, and they have 8 each, so they decide to fire separately. They are allowed to join their join the firepower and fire together with the strength of 10, because you cannot fire with the strength more than 10, or they can both fire independently with the strength of 8. I think it makes more sense. So they are firing at Poles with the strength of 8, and Poles are in the village, so this is -2 for them. So first shot, this is a miss. Second shot, this is a miss. Poles are firing back with the strength of 3, and this is also a miss. So now we have to resolve attack. This is 16 versus 3. So this is definitely more than 4-1, because you cannot get more than 4-1. So this is 4-1, and now we have -1 for the attack through the stream and -2 for the attack for the village. So this is -3, and we had +4, so Russians have +1. Well, that's not a very impressive situation. But that's a good roll. It's 6. And 6 means 1t plus t. So what it means? Defender has to retreat 1 hex, and he has to undergo morale check. They passed. The attacker has to undergo morale check as well. So they have 9, but they have their commander on the adjacent hex, so they get -1, so they passed. And now they passed. So I can take this hex. I cannot move with them here as well, because each of these regiments has 8 strength points, and you cannot get more than 50 points on the single hex. So they cannot stack. So that's all when it comes to the combat. Now we have to calculate the losses. Russians have 16, so it will be 16-18, and -3 because of the terrain, so it will be 9-10. 8 in the 9-10, this is 1 loss for Polish battalion. And Poles had 3, and +3 because of the terrain, so it will be also 9-10 verse, and 6 in the 9-10, it is -1 for Russian infantry. Okay, so looks like Russians finally managed to do something. Well, they had definitely a numerical advantage here. Okay, Poles. What Poles are going to do? This battalion, 1, 2, 3, and 4 goes here. This battalion moves 1, 2, and 3. It cannot move more because it is out of command, and when unit is out of command, it has 1 movement point left. So normally they have 4, but due to this fact they have only 3. Okay, I don't think that any other Polish units are going to move, no. And, well, Poles are not going to attack anywhere, so this concludes turn 3. We are moving into turn 4. Let's do initiative roll, Russians, Poles. This is a draw, so the side that had initiative in the previous turn has initiative as well, so Russians have initiative. Next, command stuff. Polish commander is here, so all of them are in command. They are not, and this battalion isn't either. And this battalion remains out of command. When it comes to Russians, their commander is here, so these two units are in command now. Next, Russian artillery fire. So Russians are firing here. This is -2 because of the woods. And I think they scored a hit. This is 8 on the... No, they missed. They need 9. Okay, so that's a miss. And next we can move our Russians. So this regiment goes here. This 1, 2, 3, and 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. Artillery remains here. This artillery 1, 2, 3 goes here, and the Russian commander goes there. So Russians are attacking here. They have 7 versus 2, so they are making their rifle attack. And this is 6 because of the woods, so they failed. And Poles, they also failed. So we have 7 versus 2, so it is 3 to 1. And so it's +3, and -2 because of the woods, so it is +1 for Russians. And wow, again 7. So Poles have to retreat 1 hex, and they have to undergo morale check, and they failed this time, so they are disorganized. Russians have to do their own test. They have 9, but they have commander adjacent to them, so they passed. They can pursue it, Poles. And now let's calculate the losses. Russians had 7 and -2 because of the woods, so it will be 5, 6, 3, 4. Nothing, no losses on Polish side. And Poles have had 2 plus 2, so it will be 5, 6 verse. 7 in the 5, 6. No losses on Russian side either. So this concludes Russian actions, and now it's time for Poles to go. So this battalion is bound with Russians because all these hexes are in the zones of control of this unit, so it cannot move, and you cannot change your facing when you are in the enemy zone of control, so it cannot move. It is bound in combat with these Russians. So that's all. I think that this battalion moves here. So it will force Russians to fight with it. And now, I'm not going to move there, because if I will be here, then Russian artillery will be able to fire at me. And when I'm here, they won't be able to do so. So that's good. And that's all when it comes to Poles. I don't have any more stuff to do with them. So this concludes turn 4. We are moving into turn 5. And Russians are going to get the rest of their troops. So this is going to be hard. So let's roll for initiative. Poles, Russians. It is a draw again, so Russians keep the initiative on. Well, no one has to be... well, first the command. Well, same, nothing changes here, and Russians, all of them are in the range of their commander, so no one has to worry about the lack of command on Russian side. And now reorganization. This Polish unit is disorganized, but it cannot be reorganized because it is adjacent to the enemy unit. So that's all when it comes to Poles. And now Russian artillery fire. Well, Russian artillery cannot see anyone, so it's not going to fire. And next we are going to make move. So 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, 3. And now I have 2 more Russian regiments. So 1, 2, 3, and 1, 2. With Russian corps commander. Okay, so Russians are about to attack, and they are attacking this Polish lone battalion. They are firing each one separately. So first shot, this is a miss, and the second shot, this is also a miss. Poles are firing back, but they have only strength of 2. 9, I believe this is a miss, but I will check it out. Yes, I would need 11 or 12 to hit when I am firing with the strength of 2. So that's all, and now attack. They have 7 and they have 8. So they have 15 versus 2. So it will be +4 because of the 4 to 1. Now +1 because enemy is disorganized, so it's +5, and -2 because defender is in the woods. So it is +3 for Russians, and 4, so it's 6, 7. Poles are retreating 1 hex, and they have to undergo morale check. They passed. Russians have to undergo morale check. They passed, and the other unit, they passed, so they can perform a pursuit. And now we are going to roll for the losses. Russians had 15, so 13, 15, -2, it's 9, 10, 7, 9, 10, 1 loss for Polish unit, so it has only 1 strength point left, and Poles had 2, +2, it is 5, 6, and 3, no losses for Russians. Well, that's not good, that's not good. So, what Poles are going to do? This battalion is still bound in combat with Russians, and this battalion, I wonder, I think I will 1, 2, 3, move like that. I'm not going to let them overrun me, that's all. So, that's all. Well, they are in the woods, so they don't have to attack the enemy, that's good. And this concludes turn 5. We are moving into turn 6. Okay, turn 6, initiative roll. Russians, Poles. So Russians still hold the initiative, that's good for them. Command ship. Nothing changes on Polish side, and nothing changes on the Russian side either. All the Russian units are in the range of the commanders. You can see this is good to have 2 or more commanders. So, Russian artillery cannot see anyone, so no artillery fire. Wait, before... What? No, we don't have to reorganize anyone because they cannot be reorganized, and all the Russian units are fine. So Russian artillery is not firing either, so we have to move our Russians. So this regiment goes here. This regiment 1, 2, 1, 2, and 1, 2. Their commander is going to join them, and Russian artillery goes here. it will be useful later to fight for these positions, but now we have to drive Poles away from these woods. Okay, so they are firing at Poles. They have 7 and 8, so, and -2 because of the woods. First shot, this is a miss. Second shot, this is a miss. Poles are firing back with the strength of 1, and they missed. So now, this is 4 to 1 because of the odds, +1 because of the enemy disorganized, and -2 because of the enemy in the woods. So it is +3 for Russians, and for 7. Poles are retreating 1 hex, and they have to undergo morale check. They failed, so they are broken. And when unit is broken, it has to move 2 hexes back instantly. And now we have to roll for Russians, this unit. They are fine, so they can perform a pursuit. And that unit, they are also fine. Now, losses. Russians had 15, -2, so it's 9, 10. 9, this is -1, so Polish unit is eliminated. And Poles had 1, +2, it will be 5-6 verse. 9 in the 5-6, Russians suffer 1 loss as well. Okay, and now here. This group fires with this oh sorry, I made a mistake. They cannot be on the same hex because they are too strong. So they have to remain on the separate hexes. And now they are firing here, strength of 8, -2 because of the woods. Miss. They are firing 2 times because of the white star, but they have strength of 3 and -2, so well, I don't think they have much chance. A miss and a miss. Poles are firing back here, strength of 4, -2, sorry, and this is a miss. So that's all. And now we can resolve an attack. 11 versus 4. This is 3 to 1 and -2 because of the woods. So this is +1 for Russians. 4. So all the units have to undergo morale checks. Passed, passed, and passed. So all the units are fine. And now let's calculate the losses. Russians had 11. -2, so it's 7-8 verse, and 9 in the 7-8, this is 1 loss on Polish side. This is 2-4. And Poles had 4 +2, so it will be 7-8, and 6 in the 7-8, no losses on Russian side. That's bad. So that's all for Russians. Now Poles. This battalion cannot move. They are simply waiting for Russians to arrive. So Poles are doing nothing, and this concludes turn 6. Alright, turn 7. Initiative roll. Poles, Russians. Okay, Poles won initiative. Well, does it change anything? I guess it isn't going to change much. This Polish battalion is still bound in combat with Russians, slowing their advance down. And Polish artillery cannot fire at anyone, no one has to be reorganized, and all the Russian units and all the Polish units are in command here, save to these two. So, well, Poles are not going to do anything. So, Russians, their artillery cannot fire either, so now they are moving. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. And 1. Their commander, the other commander goes here, so we will have all our units in control. And that's all when it comes to the Russian movement. we are going to resolve Russian attacks. Well, one attacks against this stubborn Polish battalion that holds the line on the river, on the road. So, Russians are firing. This is 8 minus 2, one shot and a miss. 3 minus 2, 2 hits, both misses, and 3 miss. So that's all when it comes to the rifle combat, and now we have 11 versus 3, so it will be 4 to 1, and minus 2 because of the woods, so it's plus 2 for Russians. It's 2, sorry, no, it's 6, so 1 T. Poles have to retreat 1 hex, and under morale check they failed. Oh, that's bad. And Russians, this group, they passed, and this regiment, they passed, so they can make a stack because they have total strength of 11, so this is enough to make a stack. And now losses: Russians had 11 minus 2, 7, 8. No losses on Polish side, and Poles had 3 plus 1 plus 2 is 7, 8. It's 8. Sorry, have a sun issues. 7, 8 and 8. One loss on Russian side. So this regiment suffers 1 loss. And I have to make a roll to see if Russian commander wasn't killed. No, he wasn't. So this concludes turn 7. We are moving into turn 8. So, turn 8. Initiative roll. Russians, Poles. Poles hold the initiative. Okay, what Poles are going to do, but first command stuff. All the Polish units are in command save to these 2. Russians, all their units are in command. Yeah. Okay, so that's all. Polish artillery is not firing at anyone, and now Polish units. So this Polish battalion moves here, and this Polish cavalry goes here to make sure Russians won't be able to cross these marshes easily. And well, this Polish battalion moves there. And this Polish group goes here. No, it has to stay here because of the road. So commander will go here, so they will be all in his range. And that's all when it comes to Poles. And now Russians. Russian artillery is not firing at anyone. Well, it cannot. It is here. So now Russian movement. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. Here I need to get rid of these Poles, so I won't be able to much. And now let's resolve attack, hoping that Russians will finally do the trick. So they are firing with the strength of 10 versus minus 2 because of the woods. This is a miss. And Poles are firing with the strength of 2. 8 in the strength of 2. This is a miss. So we have 10 because you cannot, even if you have more than 10 points on the single hex, you can only attack with 10 points from a single hex. So this is 10 versus 2, so it's 5 to 1. So it's 4 to 1 because you cannot get more than 4 to 1, so it's plus 4. Plus 1 because enemy is disorganized, and minus 2 because of the woods, so it's plus 3. And 8. So 8, 1D TP. So Polish unit is disorganized instantly, and this means that it is broken. It retreats one hex due to the result, and another -2 because of the being broken. And Russians have to undergo morale check if they want to make advance after combat. Yes, they can, so they are moving here. And now losses after combat. Russians had 10, so it's 9-10. -2 is 5-6. 9 in the 5-6. One loss on Polish side. So this battalion has only 1 point left. And Russian losses. It was 1, 2, plus 2, 5, 6. And 8 in the 5-6. One loss on Russian side. And we have to make a roll for Russian commander. 9, I think he's fine, but I will check it out. Yes, he's fine. So that's all for Russians, and this concludes turn 8. We are moving into turn 9. Alright, turn 9, and now we have to check for the initiative. Poles, Russians, so Russians regain initiative, and now command. They are all in command, so I can remove this marker, but they are not, and they are not as well. Now we can check for the reorganization. This Polish unit can be reorganized, but it cannot, so it remains broken. That's pretty bad. And that's all for the reorganization. So Russians can do their actions. And what are they going to do? Well, I miss the Russian cavalry. If I would have Russian cavalry, there would be no problem to charge on them. But I lost all the Russian cavalry during the Battle of Zakrzew, so I have to fight with Russian infantry only. So this unit goes 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 1, 2, 3, 1, and sorry, Polish artillery may fire at them, so it fires here on this group. Miss, and here a miss. Okay, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. So that's the Russian movement. And now Russian attacks. First here, Poles are broken, so they can't even fire back now. Russians are firing by themselves with the strength of 3, a miss, and a miss. So this is 3 to 1, so it's +3. Next we have +3 because enemy is broken, so it's +6 and 12. So Poles are disorganized instantly, and since they are broken, they are eliminated. Okay, so all I have to do is to roll for Russian losses here. It was 1 and 6, no losses for Russians, so they can take this hex. And now here, this Russian regiment attacks Polish battalion, so Russians are firing, they missed, Poles are firing, they missed, and now there is, let me check, 6 versus 5, so it's, wait, 2, 3, has 4 and artillery 1, so it's 5. So it's 1 to 1. Well, not an easy roll for Russians. Oh, that's bad roll. and one it is T1 plus T. So Russians have to retreat one hex, and both sides have undergo morale checks. Russians, they failed. Poles, they also failed. That's unlucky. And now losses. Russians had 6 and 9 in the converse of 6, one loss for Poles. So 2, 3. And Russian losses, 6 in the column of 5, no losses for Russians. So this concludes Russian actions, and this concludes this turn. And I think this is a good moment to call it a day, because this is a half of the battle. We played 9 of the 18 turns, and well, Russians made out of the woods, and they are on the good position to start their assault on Dobre. Poles are on the defensive positions. They are holding their line with the help of these marshes here. So, well, we will see how it will work. So that's all for today. Thank you for watching, and see you next time.